We're back. We got Jason Weeks with us today. He is our music homie from day one. Been in a lot of bands together. He is now a working musician, and we're gonna pick his brain a little bit. What is a gigging musician? What does that look like?
Well, as far as the government's concerned, it's an independent contractor.
For the record.
I kind of run my own schedule, run my own business, run my own taxes, all that stuff. So it's been a learning curve. During the pandemic, I actually finished up my degree in business management. So I'm one of those rare people who actually has like learned and applied some things from their degree. Yeah, about a decade ago, I started to realize that I could get paid to play music, and so I learned, 3 hours of semi-popular covers, stuff that people like to hear, and kind of made my way through the restaurant scene. Sacramento-area is sort of, it's the farm to fork capital, so that we pride ourselves in our restaurant scene and the local culinary scene and all that stuff, and so I think with that has come a pretty awesome live music scene too. We got good weather here for the most part, so there's lots of patios where you're gonna find some schmuck like Quinn or I out there, playing for our supper or whatever. And it starts out literally playing at Italian restaurants for a $50 gift card to the Italian restaurant that you're playing in, kind of thing, but you work your way up. So my career path was a little weird because I got out of the Navy and really wanted to like get into a good paying long-term career, and I got into the whole solar industry and tried the corporate stooge lifestyle for a little while and had a great salary and benefits and health insurance and all that, and decided to throw all of that away because I was miserable, and so was Anne Marie, my wife, then girlfriend. I left that life because it was miserable. I'm hiring and firing my friends, and just the ruthless sales world. Hit quotas or get out, kind of thing. And I got real tired of that. Even though I'd worked my way up into management, and I felt like my job was pretty safe, it felt like I was swimming in pretty ruthless waters. So it wasn't fun.
Were you gigging even when you were doing that job? Were you doing like small gigs?
I was gigging with Anne Marie, writing our own stuff. Naked lounge downtown, midtown coffee shop gigs, Torch Club open mics, those types of gigs. For fun gigs. And Anne Marie and I are writing Juliet Company stuff and recording with Josh, and great times. But I wasn't really gigging for money. That wasn't like an income source. I didn't even think that was really possible.
Yeah.
We're all familiar with the starving musician trope. Yeah. And so I just sort of assumed that I had to have another job, and if I wanted a roof and food and all that. So, but I was miserable with the high-paying corporate job, and so I kind of left that behind. And when we had our first kid, we were both working at Trader Joe's, which is kind of crazy, but. Long story short, I started taking jobs to play at places for 3 hours or whatever, and then people would see me at a restaurant and be like, "Hey, can you come play my wedding? Can you come play my 40th birthday? Can you play my kid's graduation party?" and all this stuff, and so you kind of start dipping your toes into the private events world, and then you realize you can start charging a little more for those types of things, and decide what it is that you're going to offer and what kind of events you want to play versus what kind of events you don't want to play. And then before you know it, I'm getting more and more Trader Joe's shifts covered because I can spend an entire day, 8 hours at Trader Joe's, and make a third of what I would make in 3 hours playing guitar and singing, which is obviously a lot more fun.
Yeah.
So, and then I just realized that I'm getting more and more shifts covered, and it's and I'm being more of a burden on my Trader Joe's team and management and all that stuff. So eventually I kind of just left it and dove headfirst into gigging full time. And it's been a lot of learning to book myself, but also learning which talent agencies and booking agencies are compatible with how I want to work and all that.
Were you booking just yourself right out of the gate, or did you meet anybody early on that you were able to kind of get your feet wet with?
Out of the gate, it was just me. It was just I had business cards made, and I stopped by a couple spots on Main Street. I live in Placerville, so I stopped by a couple spots on Main Street, Placerville, that I knew had live music. Dropped off my cards and sent a bunch of emails to wineries and like the Apple Hill area and stuff like that. So it was a lot of sending emails, dropping off cards, saying hi, making face, like actually going to this places in person.
Cold calls, essentially.
Yeah, cold calling, showing up in person. I think a little bit of that like sales background was helpful in that, because I knew how to be assertive without being annoying and crossing any social barriers.
Yeah.
And I think my experience in sales in the solar industry sort of did help me with that element of literally pitching myself.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because that seems like really interesting to me. Like one of our other podcasts was with this photographer in Vacaville, and she kind of had the same kind of situation where she went into the creative world but with more of like a business, like sales background, and it was really beneficial for the launch of her own studio. What were some of the points where you really felt like the sales and business side like really kicked in, where it kind of gave you that belief like I could do this, like I could make a living doing this?
It's when you notice that that you have to sort of put your artist persona aside for a second, and that can be soul crushing, and that can feel like you're selling out. That can feel like you're not cool anymore, but I mean, I gave up on that a long time ago. So, you know, I still write music. I still feel like I'm a creative person, and I'm happy with that. But now music is my business. And so, like, a few years ago, I really learned to read the room. This is a phrase that Anne-Marie uses all the time: read the room and know your audience. The turning point for me was learning how to get asked back. You can have really great promo videos, really great promo photos. You can sell yourself really well. You can get yourself into the door. But setting aside your own personal priorities, the songs that I want to play, the instruments that I want to play, and knowing your audience, reading the room, and making your 3-hour window successful, fun, the right vibe for the staff that are there, the ownership that are there, or the client that's hired you, whatever the situation is, having their priorities in mind instead of yours, was when I really started actually making money.
That feels like the difference between like being a designer and an artist, like where in our field, like, you know, there's like the visual artist that's like, you're just trying to express yourself. Where like as a designer, this is gonna be crass, but I've heard one of my other designer friends say, like, whatever, it's our podcast, whatever. But like, like artists feel art is like masturbation, and like design is like sex. Like there is
Wow. Okay.
Or like on the design side, it's very much like, how can I help you? Like, how can I serve your purpose? How can I see your vision come to fruition? Where that may be the shift that you saw.
Totally. Yeah. Music can be very masturbatory, no doubt. Yeah, if I'm playing whatever notes I want to play, nobody wants to hear that nonsense, you know. Yeah. So, it's reading the room, it's knowing what your audience wants, what your client wants. The person who's signing your check is the person that needs to be really happy, and is the person that you need to engage with, and leave them wanting more, and, you know, making a good impact on that person, so that down the road they'll refer you to someone else or have you back for their next event.
I asked this because I have felt this way at gigs, but have you ever felt out of your element? Like, oh, I can see the vibe that should probably be going on, but I gotta do my best to serve that because I can't do it by myself, especially.
Yeah, I do pride myself in being a chameleon and being able to read the room and match the vibe, but I've absolutely been in rooms that, like, I'm not the fit for this.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, live and learn.
Yeah.
I've worked some events that weren't for me, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's some information that I need to know coming into events now. Now I know. Now I've learned some more questions to ask going into it, you know, kind of.
That's a good takeaway. Yeah, it's a nice positive spin on it.
Totally. Yeah.
You said you got your BA in business during our lockdown. Do you see a difference now between you and maybe some of your peers who don't have that background or don't have that experience? Like, do you see yourself kind of like thriving more because of that? Like, do you think it's required to thrive in this space? Not necessarily the BA itself, but the prioritization of the business fundamentals, maybe.
Yeah, I know musicians who on the fretboard or on the microphone can play or sing circles around what I do, and like
which is tough,
just nasty.
Jason's nasty boy.
So,
Jason's nasty boy.
No, yeah, I know people that can, that are very, very impressive as far as the sounds that they can make, big time. But they don't know how to be reliable. They don't know how to read the room. Sometimes showing off your big belting high notes is not always the time. You know, so I've seen really, really talented people lose the room by being too much. If you're playing a space where people are trying to have a conversation, they're not trying to be interrupted by your, Alanis Morissette wailing.
Yeah.
You know, even though you sound awesome, it's just not the context for it. And I do think that sometimes musicians think they can win over the room, and it's like, okay, you're all having your conversations right now, but I can get you all to stop and focus on me. You know, and there's that ego element of it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's worked a couple times, and there's a high that comes from that when you've taken over a room. There's a high that comes from that, but it has to be the right time and place for it.
Yeah.
And if it's like
that's a great lesson outside of music too.
Yeah, if you got paid a good amount of money to play an elegant, semi-stuffy event, it's not time to take over the room. It's time to be the right vibe for the room. You know.
That's more of like the client management side of things. Is that essentially what you're talking about? And like having like strong deliverables there, but like even the business like gross part, like that.
So stuff like not having too much fluff in your emails, and like having your communication be purposeful. And
like, do you see those making
economical.
A difference between?
Yeah, totally. And I learned a lot about that in the BA program, but also in the military. Honestly, they teach you how to, like, in the military they teach you how to just send a professional email.
Really?
And that's just a lot of things like maybe the Gen Z are learning that in high school and stuff now, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people like myself that just needed that. Like, hey, this is a communication medium that's meant for like getting stuff done. We're not having a chat right now, you know. And if you're emailing your buddies, that's fine. That's one thing. But like, but yeah, just
emailing your buddies. You're in 2002.
Yeah, what the?
That's true. Yeah, you're waiting for that dial-up.
Yeah, but I see that though. Like, just like everyone we talk to, like from the filmmakers and musicians now, and then like some of the, especially the the visual artist folks that we work with, like that's really, it feels like it's the differentiator between like just doing it for fun and like doing it for commerce, essentially.
Yeah. And there's also parallels too. Like Josh and I know that we're not the best video team in Sacramento, but we're
lighting this so terribly right now.
But we're a very good video team that you will love working with.
Totally.
And a lot of the time, like you said, that's more important than the work itself, or as important at least.
What's the purpose of the content that you're creating? Are you going to meet that purpose?
Yeah.
Boom.
So I'm sure you've also experienced people thinking your performances are an open mic and wanting to come and sing a song or two.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That happens?
Oh yeah, especially when the booze is flowing.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
People get real confident in their abilities.
No doubt.
But even if it's not that dramatic, what's something about being a gig musician that you wish like the general public understood more?
Yeah, don't talk to someone when they're trying to sing.
That's a good one.
If they're actively singing, they're in no position to hear anything you're saying to them right now. They're focusing on something.
Funny.
So true. God, yeah, like that.
That's a social barrier that some people, I guess, just don't
Can't read the room.
think about. Not reading the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's so funny.
And I wish people, I I wish I could just give like a microphone stand tutorial for like
Dude.
the entire population.
Yeah.
Microphone technique and microphone stand adjustment.
Yeah.
Like you got to loosen those joints before you move them, guys. You're just stripping
Yeah.
out. You're just, and I see pros do it. I'm like, what are you doing? Come on, guys. You're just
You're not
gonna,
paying for their own gear. That's
yeah,
why.
not paying for their own gear. Yeah, that's probably it.
Well, how do you balance practicing your instrument, whether it's guitar or vocals, with practicing your performance? So like stage presence, and of course this probably goes back to the earlier years. I'm sure that's not something you have to actively practice these days.
Yeah.
But when you were trying to first start out, you know, you were used to playing loud ass rock songs with Josh and I. How did you
boardwalk
make
and
that
stuff,
transition to learning even playing guitar in a certain way that was more presentable,
Presentable.
as it were?
That's a good spin. Yeah, man, learning a bunch of songs that I felt confident I made sound good. And knowing when it doesn't sound good. You know, those songs that I've scrapped, I'm like, oh, this cover would be good for me, and then you realize it's not. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
You're
yeah, I've
like,
done that
okay,
too.
I can hear myself, and then I'm not liking it, so.
Sometimes it's not even that you don't sound good, it's just like, especially solo, like the arrangement just doesn't carry, you know?
Totally. But I'm at a point now where some of my gigs are practice. So I'm gigging like 5 times a week now, and some of them are background, and people are in and out, and I'm just background music for them, and that's a great time for me to like try out new songs and stuff, because I'm just sort of background music anyway. As long as I know that I'm not going to train wreck it too bad,
Yeah.
I can get through it.
Yeah.
Some songs you do a few dry runs at home when you have a minute, kid-free minute.
Yeah.
You know? But some of them, yeah, some of those background music gigs become your paid rehearsals. You know, this year really for me has been about diversifying as far as like being a singer and a guitar player. And there's a couple of bands and acts that I've started filling in with just as a singer or just as a guitar player or sometimes both. But yeah, it has forced me to like practice in a certain way with a certain thing in mind.
I'm sure with singing alone, especially, because when you don't have the crutch of the guitar in front of you, you have to
Yeah.
perform a little more.
Yeah, and so I play with this group that does live band karaoke, and every Tuesday night at the Powerhouse in Folsom is like that group's residency. That's our paid rehearsal, basically, you know. And then we do corporate gigs in San Francisco and Napa and stuff when we get paid to do live band karaoke for a private event. And those are fun, and those pay a little more for sure than the Tuesday nights at Powerhouse. But for years I've been doing guitar in that gig, which forces me to learn songs that I would never play with our band, like Plaid City. You know, they got us doing you know, like 80s rock and stuff like that, where like I have to actually sit down and learn the parts.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was good for me to like sort of flex that muscle a little bit. And then work that out. But then recently I started doing that gig as the host, as like the MC. And so that, in the last year or so, I've started doing that. And that's forced me to like be comfortable rocking a mic without a guitar, which at first was very weird. And then I started filling in with bands like Pop Fiction, where I'm just running around with the microphone, trying to engage the audience and focus on singing on pitch, you know? Which has been great. It's been, so far, it's all worked really well and kept me very busy. And the diversification of the work keeps it from being too much of a grind for me. This week I'm working on guitar parts for this band, and this week I'm working on memorizing some Wham song for Pop Fiction, you know, or whatever.
What do you mean some Wham song? There's 2. There's Wake Me Up Before You Go,
No,
Last
they're
Christmas.
playing the deep cuts.
No,
Okay.
they're playing Last Christmas because it's almost Christmas time.
Freedom, okay, come on.
That's
Yeah.
George Michael, it's not Wham.
I think that was Wham, wasn't
That's
it?
Wham.
I think it's Wham.
It's Wham.
Fuck.
It's all
Edit
good.
that shit out.
Hate
Yeah.
being wrong.
Freedom 90, I think, was George Michael. Yeah.
You know what's interesting about your story too is that like I feel like when you tell, you know, growing up, you tell your parents like, I want to be a musician when I grow up or some shit. Like,
Yeah.
we all kind of have like this one vision of what it could look like. Talk to me about like that kind of shift in mindset too of, you know, being a musician for a living could look differently than what the rock star dream looked like. You know what I'm talking about? Like where like between that and, you know, maybe some of the preconceived notions we have of like becoming a musician for a living.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, in high school and the years after high school, you're in a local band and you're trying to write the best songs that you can write and play as many gigs as you can play no matter where it is. And success at that point looks like being a band that gets picked up on a tour or gets picked up by a record label, and before you know it, you're on Warped Tour or something cool like that. You know, that's like the dream. You know, you're like playing in some different city every day, and you're with your buddies and playing songs that you write and having fun and whatever. And in some sense, running your own life, but also having your life sort of run for you at the same time. Anyway, so you have all those notions of what it looks like. And obviously my path didn't end up, I've literally never been on a tour, so it just never happened for me. And then I joined the Navy and all that's history. But yeah, it was working, it was realizing that I could get paid a couple $100 to play for a couple hours at first at restaurants and stuff like that. And then learning that private events, corporate events, and weddings are where you can actually make a living.
Like was that like a weird shift for you?
For sure, it's a weird shift, and it's a balance. Like I said, you have to push that artist side aside and be the business person. But you can go too far in that direction too, and you can lose your love of it. And I've showed up to gigs that I'm like, man, I'm really not enjoying this, and then I'm like. And then you gotta like slap yourself, like you're getting paid to play guitar and sing. Shut up, like, shut up. You know, just do it. But it can be a little bit like soul crushing, and Quinn probably knows that when you get sent out solo to too many solo gigs all the time, and when you're doing it alone, that's when I think it's hardest.
Interesting.
And
I haven't heard you really talk about that before. Well, yeah. What do you mean by that?
That's when it's most like when it feels most like work. There's no social element because I don't have you or Josh or Justin or somebody else to like hang out with, set up the gear, the PA and everything, the gear with and everything, and like that whole social element. I think I really thrive off of more than I realize, I guess, because when you're doing it alone, like when I have like 2 weeks straight of only solo gigs, I'll realize like, man, I'm not enjoying this anymore. This is not fun, you know? So it's like, but so there's a give and take there. And I think you can find a middle ground where you're making all the right business moves and making your client happy, and whoever hired you, you're making them happy and you're getting asked back, but you're also enjoying it and making yourself happy. And
I know, I get it sometimes, especially in the Filipino community where like entrepreneurship or kind of like striking out your own path isn't as like popular, you know, then there's like trepidation when you're about to like jump into that world. And I'm sure like saying like, hey, I'm gonna be like a full-time musician, there was some of that too.
Oh, it's scary. Yeah.
It's fucking scary. Like, how did you get over that? Like, especially you were starting a family, what would you tell yourself like 10 years ago, like, you'll be good? Like how would you deliver that message, I guess?
I would tell myself, as quickly as you can, get really good promo videos that have the client in mind. So like a promo reel of like 20 seconds of 5 different songs that you sound great on, because the artist in you again wants to do the entire song and do the song justice, and you know, I can't live without the bridge in this song. You know what I'm saying? But like, put the artist aside and get into business person mode for a second and think about what makes it easy for a talent agency to book you, to pitch you. What does a client want to see? What does a bride want to see and hear? And then do your best to make that happen. Because good quality promo is what gets you in the door. Sorry, but cell phone video doesn't cut it. That's not going to get you good paying jobs in like the corporate and weddings and private events world. So you do have to pay somebody, you have to pay somebody for content. You guys know about this, like it makes a difference. It gets your foot in the door, and then doing the job well is what gets you asked back, of course, because I've heard plenty of stories of people being like, oh my gosh, we're so glad you actually sound good in person, because we've booked these really, really, really expensive bands with really, really, really expensive looking and sounding promo, but then they just don't look or sound anything like it in person.
Oh my gosh. So some of these things, like even like these very tactical things, like I don't want to say they like will guarantee that it'll work out, but it'll put you in a better position to.
No, yeah, and I still had like the Bay Area talent agencies that'll get you good paying jobs. I still had to knock on those doors for like 3 years.
So hustle.
I had to email the same agencies for 3 years until they finally gave me a chance. And then it was like the leads would trickle. Like if all of their preferred artists weren't available, they'd hit me up, and then I would get good feedback. As like a backup artist, I would get good feedback more and more often. Then you just work your way up, and then I think behind the scenes what's happening is they're pitching you more because you're getting good feedback. Like even if your promo material hasn't changed, if the booking agent has sent you out to some events and gotten really good feedback, they're gonna bring you up to the next person. They're gonna bring you up more. They're gonna talk about you more. And so I just think that over time that happened, and then you get to the point where you're on the preferred list and you're one of the go-to guys for that agency or that venue or that resort or winery or whatever.
Just persistence on that.
Totally, yeah.
Gotcha.
It doesn't happen fast.
Did you have to overcome any sort of like fear of jumping onto like that full-time life?
Big time. So I had some safety nets. When the pandemic happened, I remember in one day I had $10,000 worth of jobs cancel in one day.
Oh my God.
I was like, and that's not all like in 1 week or whatever. That was like
still, dude.
But it was very frightening, And fortunately, I had the GI Bill, so I did 5 years in the Navy, and so I hadn't used all of my GI Bill yet, and so I was able to use that and get my degree during the pandemic. And then while you're using the GI Bill, you get a housing allowance, so that basically covered our mortgage.
Sweet.
And so I sort of had that safety net, and then I used that degree to get a substitute teaching credential, and so that last year was sort of my safety net. I did a lot of subbing last year during the cold months, during the winter when live music slows down a little bit, but I haven't really had to do the backup plan too much. But that was the last 3 years. That was sort of my get through the winter months backup plan, because it is scary to like
Hibernation plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a similar conversation. I just met with a couple people that were like trying to get into some freelance work, and before we talked about like all like the business stuff, I'm like, do you have 3 to 6 months saved up? Like, do you have like, it's kind of what you're talking about. Like, what are your safety nets? Like before you make a jump,
Yep.
Interesting.
So I knew that if I couldn't get some good paying corporate jobs and weddings and stuff, I could just fill up my days with subbing, and be on basically the same schedule as my kids.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are there any moments that have stood out recently to you that have like really made you're like, you know what, this is pretty cool. I get to do this.
Yeah. Last week I got to play a room in San Francisco called the Argonaut. It's right next to the Regency Ballroom. And it's an old live music space, and it's 2 stories, and so it has like the balconies are on the side, so it kind of looks like Regency, I guess, in that sense, or American Music Hall or whatever that place is called. I guess Janis Joplin's first San Francisco gig was in that space. The Grateful Dead played there like 6 times. We got to hang out in the green room, and it was some rich guy's 50th birthday, and so he hired the band. This was Ryan Hernandez's band. And so he hired us to come out there and play a bunch of songs that he liked. And so we got to play this really cool historic space that a bunch of cool people have played in. And then we got to hang out in that green room, and they brought us these delicious tacos. The tacos were so good.
It's the tacos.
Yeah, the tacos were bomb, dude. And so, yeah, we felt really taken care of and felt like we were hanging out in a cool space that like the Grateful Dead hung out in. And
That's cool.
So yeah, that was kind of a cool spot. And then another cool recent one was over the summer we got to do a corporate gig in the Monterey Bay Aquarium. and they set us up. It was a trio of us. It was Ruby J on piano, myself on guitar, and Justin Barnes on his little percussion kit. He's got a little suitcase kit that he does for the more cocktail gigs. And so the three of us were set up right in front of the jellyfish exhibit, which was really cool. So we got some cool photos and videos of that. But I've taken my kids there a bunch of times, and so like I'll have all these memories of like taking my kids in there, and now I'm working in that dark room with these lit jellyfish behind me.
That's tight.
It was very cool. So
they're like calling for Taylor Swift, the jellyfish. They're like, play more Red.
yeah, I want to be in the position to take the gigs that I like and that I want to take, and then to be able to say no when it's family time, which is a hard position to be in, but that is the position that I want to be in. You know, I want to be able to select the opportunities that I want, and not just being I've spent years in the taking whatever jobs come to me position, and now I finally feel like I'm turning the tables a bit, and it's more like I get to be more selective, which is nice.
I love that. I wish that for you, man. We're manifesting that.
Thanks, brother. You too, guys.
Hell yeah, dude.
You too, guys.
Well, thanks for being on the pod, bro. No one can still out-sing Jason Weeks, even he's just being humble. Everybody hire Jason so that his pipeline's full so he can say no to you. Appreciate it.
I love that.